Rhymes in Life with your host, the one, the only, Lionel K. McDonald Jr. Let's go!
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What is happening, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. I am your host, Lionel McDonald. So let's kind of get into today's episode. Nike seems like they're a little bit of trouble. Now, for those that don't know, Nike has recently, the way that their business runs, it's kind of the end of June-ish. May, June is when they report the earnings of how the company is performing. And unfortunately, things were not reported very well, or at least the health of the company or where they're going. Stock is down 20% based on everything that's happened. So for one of the brands that is one of the biggest brands that's out there, it's not great news to report that things are not going well. And when you have the biggest market share, it's definitely going to play an impact on everything. Now with stock, generally you have to report to your shareholders exactly what's happening, how's the health of the company, and that sort of thing. Earnings and report to their shareholders of what they'd like to do. So again, this is Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. Again, I'm your host, Lionel McDonald, and we're going to talk a little Nike business today. So as I was saying, they report to their shareholders at least once a year. Do believe most Fortune 500 companies report every quarter, but they were reporting year end, and they didn't hit the mark. As we've shared many times on this podcast, that the business has definitely shifted towards running specifically. And although that is Nike's heritage, they really have struggled a little bit with some innovation. You know, we've seen some pieces over the years that have come out, but recently they're in between pieces of innovation that will really stick and obviously drive the running market. So we've seen some, the dad trend really take over, and many of the other pieces kind of transpire in that particular area. So with New Balance, On and Hoka coming into the marketplace, Adidas has had a resurgence, not just specifically in running, but particularly with their T-toe products. So it's made for a very interesting world for Nike. Nike reported that, they lost $27 billion off their market value. That's what ended up was the fallout. Stock jumped 20%. It's impacting other businesses as well. So what are the things that Nike can do? What can they do currently to kind of turn this around? And kind of made a list of some things they thought about. So one of the schools of thought that has recently come out is, do they go a different route and try to introduce some value product? So that definitely could be an avenue. They're talking about coming with product that's around the $100 mark or less. This would compete with, some of the models that are available in ASICS and New Balance. So that's a possibility. They do have some things in their arsenal that they haven't come out with. Now, there are some things that are on the way. So as an example, the Sunder Max retro style from the early 2000s and the late 1990s, that is going to resurface back in the marketplace. The Waffle Racer has definitely been out before. They're going to release the Waffle Racer Max. That's going to be available in holiday. The Max TL 2.5, that's another model that's also going to be available during holiday. Some other things that, might get the business going, although it's not true retro running, it kind of diversifies the portfolio beyond basketball. So Nike Cortez, hey, maybe this is the chance for them to get back into getting back in bed with Kendrick. He definitely was a spokesperson for their, directly or indirectly, With the Cortez, maybe they should go do a run around the lap, since Kendrick is the hottest person right now in the rap game. The Nike Burst is another great Nike model. Hasn't really been retroed. I don't know if this is the cat's meow, but this can definitely be part of the equation. The Air Max 96. Now, we got the version 2, but the version 1 is definitely one that has been sought after. It's right around Olympic time. Now, I don't see it coming out now, but if the U.S. is successful in the Olympics, maybe this is something that rolls out for holiday or probably 25. Flyknit Racer was one of the best Nike innovations that has come out recently. 2012 is when that released. Definitely that may be an opportunity. Just diving deeper into the Nike Pegasus. This is probably the closest model to what we're seeing with the 1130 in ASICS and the 2002 and 530 in New Balance. So maybe that's something they reinvestigate. We've been down the road with lots of Air Max product. The 180 definitely is one. The Ultramarines come out and had great success. Most of it is sold out throughout the marketplace. There are other colors, so they're definitely going down that pipeline. But how did they accelerate that? Maybe they pair that with the 360. The 360 was revolutionary air technology. And maybe that needs to come back on the marketplace. Now, they did have some collaborations over the last 2 years with the Tailwind model. But that and also the Nike Freegas really essentially ended up in outlets for the most part. But is there a way to kind of reinvigorate with some of the OG colorways to kind of get that business going? That's another opportunity. And then I think Nike plays a huge magic wand when it comes to the collaboration. So I know many of the celebrities out there have gravitated to other brands. How does Nike get back in the good graces with some of those high profile celebrities? Can that easily swing the pendulum like they swung it for the Samba and Adidas the last couple years? And we saw it all over Fifth Avenue, and before it became the rage of 2024, people were wearing it in fall of 2022 into 23. So there's some opportunity with some of the things that are out there. A couple different avenues, and I know it's going to take time to grow, but look at the phenomenon with women's basketball right now. How do they continue to grow that budding business? We're going to get a shoe with we already have one with Sabrina. She's on Sabrina 2. The K Purple looks fantastic. We also know that Asia Wilson from the Las Vegas Aces, she's going to get her own shoe. So that's definitely another opportunity to grow that business. And there's others. We know Angel Reese is probably the other hot rookie right now, but she's already has a deal with Reebok. We know Cameron Brink, although she blew her ACL, there's definitely she's already got a deal with New Balance, but there are others. Think about which Paige Beckers comes out next year. Think about if Juju Watkins comes out in 2 years. There's opportunity to build this Nike franchise of signature women's footwear and really drive the business. And I think we've seen some great success with what Sabrina has done. So there's room for more signature footwear on the women's side. But again, that's only a drop in the bucket, and that's part of the equation. How does Nike put a charge into this to this marketplace? I think that is one of the big questions. So one of the ones that has been kind of kicking around the last little bit is to kind of continue to go back into the vault. So beyond running, we already got news that the Wu-Tang Dunks, and I'm totally against this. I'm a huge Wu-Tang fan. I don't want to see this Grail come out. Originally, this shoe, there's only 100 pairs that came out. This shoe is now going to be available. I don't know, say it's a general release, but it will be available in a lot of different places. So this is an opportunity to get more Wu-Tang sneakers on people's feet. It's a Nike Dunk High. Essentially, it looks like the Iowa Dunk, but it's going to be available in a lot of different places. But one of the big theories that I had is, how do we put a charge into this retro game? And one of the words that has been circulating is, what if they essentially bring back another reiteration of the countdown packs. So the countdown packs essentially came out in 2008 to celebrate the 23rd model of the Jordan 20, or essentially the Jordan line. So Jordan 23 was the feature shoe that came out in February, but around that we danced around the 11 other months and released a pack. Now with each of these packs, there had to be two shoes that equated to the number 23. So as an example, we would get a retro Jordan 6 and a retro 17. Some were original colors, others were brand new reiterations. So we did get some of the classics like the Carmine, like the Fire Red 5s. We also got the probably the top of the food chain, which would have been the Bread or the Taxi, or the Bread 11 and the Taxi 12. Those were maybe that might be the best pack, and that was the one that was saved out to December. And this really kind of fired up the whole retro craze to a whole new level. So there were some great packs. There were some so-so packs. I think probably if I gave you my top three, I definitely would say that the 12 and 11 was number one. I would say the Carmine, which was the Carmine 6, and then the Suede 17. I love the 17. I've said it before. I was all over the one except for that came out recently, except for it had to come in the briefcase, and it was way beyond many people's means. And it was, again, a low. It was the Lightning one, which many people didn't get their hands on. And then I probably the Hair 7, and the Black 16 was a nice one. I probably would go with Black Cement 4 and the 19. Both of these were OG, missing the Nike Air on the back. The Black Red was a little bit different. All right, so let's continue with these countdown packs and the conversation with the countdown pack. So there's obviously, as I mentioned, some of the packs were, fantastic. 5 and 18, 6 and 17, 11 and 12, and because you had the Bread and the Taxi. Some of these were fantastic. And then you obviously had the 3 and the 4, which were two of the most demanded packs of all. But at the same time, there were some hits and misses with some of these packs. If you launched it 3 years ago, one of the most valuable packs would have been the 1 and the 22, because it had that black-white Jordan 1. Now, again, there, as I mentioned earlier, there is some opportunity to change the colorways in the pack. We kind of really focused on Bulls colors. That was kind of the theme behind the original countdown packs. But I think they would have to flip it and add some different shoes, give them some additional flavor to make it really worth people's while. And then, some other packs just didn't hit. So, people didn't want the 8 and the 15 because they hate the 15. So there's some of the high number ones that totally cancel out some of the low number ones. And again, with now where we are in this era, with all of the re-releases since then, even if you were to launch some of these packs, the value would go down. But no different than, as we talked about earlier, the Wu-Tang Dunk and that coming out. And even though we got Undefeated 4s, that is supposed to retro for the first time. It would definitely impact the value of some of these shoes that are worth thousands of dollars. But I think to get more shoes into the hands of those that truly want them. And again, we have so many people at this point and at this juncture switching and diversifying the brands. We again, I mentioned On and the run they're on. Zendaya is their new celebrity spokesperson. They've already been backed by Roger Federer. So there is people looking at other brands and how they're diversifying. New Balance has made a huge renaissance. Tito stuff is crazy right now with New Balance. With Adidas. So there is a lot of choice out there. You'd have to make these packs meaningful. You'd have to have some great storytelling that goes behind the pack and why we're doing them again. And it kind of defeats the purpose of, and kind of, get around the way or the why you would want to have some of these shoes re-retroed again. So, like, similar to as we've talked, I just mentioned the Undefeated Four. Do you take some of these holy grails and re-release them in a countdown pack? Do you take a holy grail with another reiteration of, in the case of the 4, the 19, and does it become the all over white 19? Do we do some interesting things? Maybe this has got to wait till we get to model at least 45, when that was Jordan's other number. Maybe there's some significance that have, but that the way things are going right now with Nike as a brand, they got to put some energy back into the marketplace and find some ways to bring some excitement around retros. Now, that's for the masses. And again, so many people are really in tune or are driven, and Nike's done a great job of, as a brand, creating these stories and really having people excited about the hype and creating the hype. Where we are today is that people are wearing shoes for every day. People are focused on comfort. People are not willing to spend outrageous money for some of the products that are available. So Nike's going to have to look at doing things a little bit differently to continue to hold the market share that they currently have, as more competitors and other brands come into a very diversified marketplace when we're talking about sneakers. So I'm a big fan of the Countdown pack. And again, we've had other packs before. We've had the Pantone pack. That was like 22 and, it was like 29 and like 11. We also do have the Raging Bull packs. It was 2 5s. That since they've launched separately. Cigar and Champagne pack. The DMP pack, obviously, now it's come out in different reiterations. We've definitely seen the 6 come over the last couple years, but we got the Gratitude instead of the true DMP. We've had Atmos. So there's definitely some packs that have come out there. So maybe it's not a full Countdown pack. Maybe it's Countdown Pad Light. Maybe there's just another way to bring some packs and some energy around retro Jordans again. But it'll be interesting to see as we move forward and see some of these opportunities. How do they spin something that really make a difference and make a challenge within the marketplace? So think about some of the things that we've already talked about tonight. Do they go, the one stream of thought or school of thought is they make value shoes that can compete with New Balance's 530 and some of the other shoes that are around 100 US or 130, 140 Canadian. Another way is, do we go deep into the archives? We already talked about Undefeated 4s. We talked about Wu-Tang Dunks. The Air Max 180 is another one that's come out in 2024. There's more talk about some of the other ones that they want to do in 25. So, we've talked about some of the great running silhouettes that come over time. Kendrick is on top of the world. So, hey, do we go back to the Cortez again and get some excitement behind that piece? But there's already some trickles or rumors that Cortez will come out. But I think Nike has really lost its way when it's come to some of the high heat collaborations. We're just not seeing those like we saw before. And without those collaborations or the energy to make some of the GR or close to GR models important, that's where they have to look at flexing and making a difference. And then, as I mentioned, packs. How do we make some packs or some energy around retros? That is still a great opportunity to bring some energy back. And I think they will continue to go into the vault and pull some stuff out. But I think one of the key things that has to be understood is how does they create some new type of innovation. I know other brands have gone into their vault like Adidas, like New Balance, but some of the other players within the marketplace have brand new technology. They're new to the game. So I think there's got to be a balance between the two. And how do you find, Nike's the big dog. Nike has the capability of playing in both areas. So the innovation is kind of the area that needs to be worked on. And, they got the greatest minds in the sneaker game. So I definitely think there is some opportunity to do some of those things that are out there. But what are your thoughts? How does Nike turn things around? To see that their stock has plummeted 20% isn't ideal. Their shoes are now more available than they ever have before. So for those that were really in the game for the love of sneakers, it's great for them. They have access to almost everything that's available. But for those that were in it for the hype, it's not. It's definitely impacting resellers and that part of the sneaker community. So it's good for some, it's not good for all. Like it was the other way around 2-3 years ago, it was all in favor of those that could get their hands on these basic, these GR releases that were selling out instantaneously. Just think about the Jordan 4, and I'll touch on that one. That shoe is literally now a telltale sign that the hype around the Jordan 4 is not now where it used to be and where it's going to be. Just think about White Thunder and some other Jordan 4s that will come out later this year, and I don't know. We've hit, we've struck out multiple times. We did have some. Obviously, there was some good success in the marketplace with the Bread Reimagined, but the industrial blue, or otherwise known as the off-white blue, off-white Jordan 4, if some people are calling it, but it's not really off-white. It's the military blue. That's the OGs, what they call that one. That's still like readily available on shelves. Oxidized green Jordan 4. It's probably going to go on sale at some point. The way that pairs are hanging out in certain areas. So does that mean that the Thunder 4 will also follow that trend? Will we see more hype because it's a better colorway? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But even we saw it last year, like there were still pairs of the Thunder 4 that were available in many areas well after the release. So is this a telltale sign that we need to flip to another shoe? Will they make a big push with the Jordan 5? We already kind of sprinkled some Jordan 5s out there. Will the Black Cement 3 be the one that carries the torch, and we got to go back to the 3 and then push out some of the OG colorways of that shoe to kind of get some energy back into the retro models? The reality is, unless it's a reimagine, and even in some of the reimagine, the quality hasn't been great, but quality is dropping, prices are rising. To think that, it was like $310 for a countdown pack in today's age, that's like 400 and change US. And ultimately, geez, it's got to be almost pushing $600, $550 to $600 Canadian, which is outrageous for a pack of shoes. So in saying all that, maybe that totally even defeats the purpose of putting out a pack, because it's just no longer affordable to put two shoes together. I think big opportunity still in the marketplace. Actually, I saw a post by my boy Thomas Wade West, and he said, like, with an Olympic year, there easily could have been a push on the 7. The Olympic 7 should have come back out. The Hair 7 is an all-time classic. It just doesn't get the love that it should. And then you even think about some of the other great 7s, like Raptor 7. We haven't got a real good retro of that in years. That is an unbelievable one. So there are some gems that are out there that they could make a run on. Maybe these will be shoes that, released in 2025. But definitely some opportunities we have with some of the sneakers that are available. But I think, there's going to have to be a strategy of how they get themselves back in the game. A little innovation, a little dipping into the vault, showing some shoes that they haven't come out before, or at least been retro before. I I think there's a way to do that. And then obviously you got to go back to some of the all-time classics, but that's it for this episode. Some very, commentary that I had I'm glad I was able to share it with y'all, on sneakers and where they are and, state of Nike and where they could go. But it's really going to be up to the powers that be. But those in the game and the love sneakers will definitely be in to watch and to see how things evolve. And it definitely will be a fun ride, just to see what is the next thing that get behind the drape that will get released. So for all those listening, thanks for listening. You can find this on Apple. You can find it on Google, definitely on Spotify, as I'm using Riverside now, and then obviously iHeartRadio, and then this will also be available on Zoom or on YouTube. So for those that are watching it on the video version. So thanks again, much appreciated, much love, and we'll talk to you soon on the next episode of Sneaks Front to Life. We out.